Hi guys, I'm Mike.
And I'm Stephen.
And this is Indy Fanatics, your home for IndyCar content with weekly podcasts and feature videos. Welcome back to the channel, guys, and we are here today for our weekly podcast where we just kind of have a chat about IndyCar with whatever's relevant. Obviously, next week we'll be able to talk about the season finale, kind of in St. Petersburg GP, the street race, the only street race of the 2020 season due to COVID obviously being hit, making those sort of things difficult, but it's fantastic that we are going to be getting a race there. But that's next week, guys. This week, me and Stephen, funnily enough, just kind of yesterday we're going,
bit of a quiet week in Indy.
But we're going to talk about rookies.
Yeah,
we'll talk about the rookies, judge how the four drivers have done this season, who we think's done best and everything, and, have a talk about them. Bam! Aaron McLaren and Oliver Askew will part ways at the end of the 2020 season, and it's been very vague in there. So that is where the main focus of this is going to be. We'll talk about Oliver Askew and Aaron McLaren letting go. Then we're going to carry on talking about the rookies and who we think have been the best, obviously with Rinus VeeKay leading currently the Rookie of the Year Championship. And then our last point of the podcast, we'll be looking at a third manufacturer coming into IndyCar and who that might be and what has been said recently about that. So make sure you kind of hang around to the end of the video to hear about all that. But yes, got to jump straight into that Oliver Askew news, which I think has shocked a lot of people. So Stephen, what was your initial reaction when you saw the story pop up?
Jeez!
Jeez!
That was my initial reaction.
Nice.
Very surprised because it seemed like we've been talking about it in the previous podcast. McLaren lining up a third seat. They're bringing an experienced guy to partner Oliver and Pato. But clearly they've decided, well, we don't know, they may go 3 seats, but they're probably going to do 2 seats and probably just go one experienced and Pato. Which Pato has performed brilliantly in his sophomore season. And he didn't have a full season as a rookie, so he's done fantastic as a young talent. Whereas Oliver's got a podium, but has struggled, and then obviously had the big crash in Indy, which caused concussion, and has played a part in what is suspected in this parting of ways. Yeah, so the why is a big thing, and obviously, as always, like we say on this channel, David Land, the kind of big IndyCar, I would say, on guy on IndyCar YouTube, if that's kind of a thing. There's not really much of a content out there, but great for kind of analysing the stories and, adding a little bit more meat to the bones in terms of why. And, he was confused because, the big one that was dropped last year from the Arrow McLaren team was James Hinchcliffe. Kind of a lot of people left a bad taste in the mouth, Hinch kind of being dropped from the team, and they were so keen on Oliver Askew that they wanted to even bring him in for some of the last couple of races of the 2019 season. But he said no and rejected that, and obviously was doing well. Up until Indy 500, he was leading the Rookie of the Year Championship. With that podium, yeah.
And considering that he crashed out in Indy 500, which is double points, of course, and as we now know, we're suffering concussion symptoms, it seems, it may be fair to assume that he might have been well and truly fighting for that Rookie of the Year position going into this last race in St. Petersburg. He was most likely going to be Rinus VeeKay's closest challenger.
Yeah.
But he did have that crash in Indy 500. He did have concussion, and that is the suspected reason why. Now, this is speculation, and I don't think it will become clear either way, because if it is this reason, then obviously publicly Arrow McLaren will not be able to say that because it'll make them look really bad.
Yeah.
But you will expect from the media, they didn't say anything, but you will expect when push comes to shove and they have to give a reason, it will be because of performance-based and they wanted to go for
So this next bit is kind of relating to who might fill that second Arrow McLaren seat. Now, we recorded this yesterday before it was announced that Felix Rosenqvist would actually be the guy who would look to fill that, who is going to be the guy who's going to fill that Arrow McLaren seat for 2021. So I don't know whether Helio or Sergio still might come in and Arrow McLaren are still going to run the 3 seats. But yes, it looks like definitely it's going to be Pato and Felix Rosenqvist for 2021. But enjoy the kind of discussion anyway.
Well, depending on who gets the seat, I presume they're not going to go down to one car as they're a developing team going forwards. With Helio coming in, with Sergio Perez's future still up in the air in Formula 1, and especially with Nico Hülkenberg coming in at the Nürburgring last weekend and performing well again, having a good relationship with Max Verstappen, the Red Bull seat was the one really looking for Checo, probably as Alex Albon's performances drop off. Checo, I can't, for whatever reason, he doesn't really seem to have mentioned anything about IndyCar.
No.
But I still think, well, if they go double Mexican of Perez and Pato, it would be a huge pull for getting some F1 fans across, supporting from McLaren and coming into that. Obviously, Checo's raced for McLaren in the past before. But Helio, again, it's an experienced option. But it feels like that second seat, it isn't going to be a young gun that comes in and replaces again. It will be a more experienced head within the sport to complement the young, exciting talent that is Pato O'Ward. But Oliver Askew was an exciting talent. And his agent, I believe it was comments around the time, were basically not the smartest, probably, to go in a media release. And Arrow, the reported story is that Arrow McLaren SP weren't happy about this. They felt like it made the team look bad. IndyCar weren't particularly happy about it either, because it made them look bad that, one, the concussion wasn't noticed before, and it was very much hinting that he could understand why someone like Oliver wouldn't want to mention that he was having concussion symptoms as a young driver fearing losing his seat. Using the example of Dale Earnhardt Jr. in NASCAR, having suffered concussion and, out of NASCAR now, and first season in IndyCar, doing well, doesn't want anything to kind of derail him. There's a crash in the Indy 500, the biggest race of the season. He'd be worried of being feared to replace, and Helio Castroneves did come and replace him for the Harvest GP. But, you don't really say that publicly.
No.
I don't think. And that is the rumoured thing, that Arrow McLaren were unhappy about the way that Oliver Askew and his management went about things. That's deteriorated the relationship. Very interestingly, at the point of us recording this on the Tuesday in UK time, I haven't seen any releases from Oliver Askew or his team about his release from Arrow McLaren. And whenever I see something like that, especially in a sports partnership going, people are always really quick to go, we wish you the best for the future endeavours and stuff like that. And I'll be like, thank you so much. I mean, look at Zach Veach in comparison.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Andretti were like, thank you so much in terms of that.
Very supportive. Thank you.
Thank you. But radio silence goes, oof.
Yeah.
Type of thing.
So it's not a happy ending for either party, I'm sure.
Certainly not. So, like I said, Helio and Sergio are probably the two names that are going to be banded about.
You'd hope they still stick with 2 seats, but yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, this says, with how this has gone, a 3rd seat won't happen unless someone comes in with big sponsorship money.
Well, which Checo could. You could go Checo and Helio.
I mean, Checo, Helio and Pato looks a very strong team. Experienced IndyCar, experienced race driver and Pato, plus the money, telesale money that Sergio Perez comes with,
huge financial
which he invests $12 million a year into Racing Point. I don't know if it would be as big into a series like IndyCar, but you're certainly going to be talking millions there in support. So very, very fascinating, I think, for that one, the veteran. For Oliver Askew, in David's video, he kind of noted a few places ago. I don't really know. I kind of feel... I feel he will be picked up at least part-time by some.
He's shown he's got talent. He got a podium, which...
And he's currently the reigning Indy Lights champion.
Yeah.
So he'd gone the road to Indy path properly.
Yeah.
You know, he's clearly a very talented youngster, and it was exciting seeing Aaron McLaren with these two guys going. Pato, the 2018 Indy Lights champion, and then obviously Oliver Askew, the 2019 one. You're going, wow, what exciting investment there, brilliant.
Guaranteed success.
Well, not guaranteed success, but at least you're going, get guaranteed success. But you're going, oh, this is exciting. This is a team that goes, we're not competing at the top, but with these guys, we can develop them into the great talented drivers they are.
Yeah.
And as that, hopefully they're getting to their peak or better experience in the series, so are we as a team.
Yeah.
But hey, wasn't to be. Poor Oliver. But we'll look at, obviously, like I said, he was leading the Rookie of the Year championship up until that point. But now...
It's all Rinus VK.
It is all Rinus VK. So obviously...
I was going to do a spin, but I realised I can't spin on the chair.
You can't do a VK spin. Oh,
there isn't enough room between me and the camera.
And you know, that VK spin's the one we want to see rather than... I mean, for me, actually, so our four rookies are Oliver Askew, Rinus VK, Alex Palou, and Dalton Kellett.
Yep.
Dalton, obviously, he's got 67 points this season, 26th in the championship, no top 10 finishes or no podiums. For AJ Foyt Racing, it was always going to be difficult because of where AJ is. And I believe Dalton, a talented guy, but I think a lot of people believed another season like Indy Lights to kind of kick on would have been better. Yeah. But actually turns out that for AJ and Foyt investing in a young talented guy, it worked out because with COVID,
Indy Lights got cancelled.
It got cancelled. So he wouldn't have had anywhere to race anyway. So he's had a full season under his belt in IndyCar this year. Will be better, has an experienced teammate in Sebastian Bourdais going forward that he can, I'm sure, learn a lot. He had Tony Kanaan to learn from races this what. Charlie Kimball's another experienced guy within it. So he's got a lot of guys around him that can help and support him into developing. And I believe he's going to have the full-time seat next year. It'll be probably a better kind of place to judge him next year.
Yeah.
I would say. But he is, unfortunately for him, team and obviously I think ability-wise at this stage is the bottom of that list.
Yeah.
Then I would have actually put VK, Palou and Askew all on a very kind of similar footing.
Yeah. We've seen Palou's been very good on the road circuits because he has got experience when he was in Europe racing, right?
It makes sense. It makes sense. It was Palou's first experience of driving ovals.
On ovals, yeah.
And he'd driven the European circuit and he was competing in Super Formula, which obviously is a very tough series.
Yeah.
And he did well out there. So to do well in Super Formula, obviously the Japanese equivalent of IndyCar, essentially not as big in terms of its calendar, but some brilliant drivers compete in that series. It certainly has the best of the kind of Japanese talent compete there. So for Alex to go there and do well, it certainly says something about him. And I think, definitely road courses with his podium as well at Road America.
Well, I was going to say he had a very good Road America. He looked good for, was it Mid-Ohio before he got taken out by the Ferrucci Herta collision that took out him and Rosenqvist. But he's always looks competitive on those road circuits, but just hasn't put it together on the ovals. But first year, we could definitely see him developing more. Whereas Rinus VK,
he has been the most improved throughout
definitely.
the season for me. And, it goes a stark contrast to crashing into Palou, actually, in that the Texas Motor Speedway first race, taking both of them out. Palou was an innocent bystander in that. And I think Ed Carpenter was quite harsh on him after the race. Maybe not after the race, but, in terms of his performance that is needed. And then he's just gone from strength to strength to strength to strength. After that, he's been brilliant on both road course. And again, his strength has been road courses, I would say. But his ovals have got better and better.
Yeah. Obviously, the Indy 500 was a bit hit and miss, wasn't it? Because he ended up running into one of the pit crew, and we didn't see much of it. But before that, he was looking good in the Indy 500 as well. But yeah,
I think with Renus, it would have been fascinating actually to see Renus and Ollie go to the end for the Rookie of the Year, because obviously Oliver Askew had won the Indy Lights champion before. Renus VK was the runner-up in that series. They definitely have been the standout rookies for me, which makes it shocking that, Palou's seat is up in the air a little bit with Dalecoin Racing in terms of funding for that seat next year. That hasn't been confirmed, and I think he is sweating a bit and feeling like he's driving for his Indy career, or at least Indy career at this stage.
Yeah.
At this point. Going forwards, it's not enough. To be fair, what might save him, having a predominant road and street course circuit in 2021, might make people go, well, he's shown enough there for us to back him. But yeah, out of all four, Oliver Askew and Renus, I would have said, would have been the safe ones. But which makes Oliver Askew's, being dumped by Arrow even more shocking. And interestingly enough, he tested for Chip Ganassi Racing, and they were very impressed by him. He won that championship in Indy Lights with Andretti Autosport.
So he's got connections.
There's a potential there if he's got funding to kind of go in over there. The Chip Ganassi one, worst case scenario, obviously, Jimmy Johnson is coming into that seat, but he's not going to run the ovals. So that is potentially 3/4 races. It wouldn't be great, and if he could get like a part-time gig with someone else.
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe a team off my head that maybe would pick him up, because they've gone for an underrated driver who's quietly gone about his business, is Meyershank Racing with that funding, with the look of going. I think potentially if he could go Chip Ganassi racing the ovals and then going to road courses on a few events and street courses with Meyershank Racing, I think that's something that you could see with Oliver Askew.
And they're the team that's obviously got the financial backing from Liberty Media. So
and have aspirations to drive 2 cars in IndyCar.
Yeah.
And they would have an experienced guy with Jack Harvey now, which it's only his first full season in IndyCar this year, but still, he's been around the sport for 2 or 3 years, I think now. And I think with Meyershank's ambitions as a team, I think Oliver Askew fits that kind of profile quite well.
Yeah.
But going into last season, last race of the season, I fully expect him to wrap it up. Renus VK has been my Rookie of the Year.
Yeah. Yeah, some stand-up performances. Like you said, he's most developed. He's really bringing in those stand-up performances, like that pole and podium in the first Harvest GP. Was it the first one? Yes.
Yep.
And
I think he does, out of all of them as well, he has 5 top 10 finishes, which is the most out. I think Palou and Askew, both between them, have 3 top 10s between them. And, in the championship, he is 14th currently.
Right.
So I think a top 10 is out of reach for him, but still, Palou was 17th and Askew was 18th. He's a couple of places comfortably ahead of the other rookies. And I think there's about 60-point difference or 40-point difference between Palou and Askew. Palou and VK. So he well and truly has kicked up. And in a team like Ed Carpenter Racing, he's been invaluable, I think.
Yeah.
All right, well, that wraps up the rookies.
That's enough of the kids.
So, for Stephen, we mentioned a third manufacturer coming into IndyCar. There's been some rumours. There's been some rumours for a while about this one. This isn't one that goes away. So, do you want to tell us a little bit more about that? Is your top relevant at all?
Maybe. Well, good old Roger Penske. Sorry, he's a great.
The captain
shouldn't be so informal there, Mr. Penske, the man who now owns IndyCar, has directly been talking to Ferrari, and it said Ferrari are Roger Penske's sole focus to get a third manufacturer into IndyCar.
I mean, that's as strong as an input you're going to get. 2023, the best chance. It allows Ferrari to have a couple years focus now with the budget cap coming into Formula One as of next season. It means that they can massively start shifting some resources. I believe the main... I got this from David. The main sticking point has been Ferrari want a Ferrari chassis. Obviously, at the moment, the chassis is a spec chassis. They all got the DW12 Dallara. Chassis on there, where Ferrari are very much, they want it to be a Ferrari car. Right, so they don't want just the engine. So the aero, I think, can be spec. But I think if they could allow the chassis to come in, which then might open up a few more things. But the problem is you don't want to make IndyCar too expensive.
Exactly.
Because that's one of the key things as well. That they are all independents. They don't have the big manufacturers. Only Honda and Chevy are the engine suppliers. They don't have their own teams within it. If Ferrari are coming in, they've got to be careful that it isn't Ferrari. And they bend over. Yes, they would bring over a massive following from F1.
Massive,
and just worldwide.
We already seen with McLaren pulling over fans.
Mm-hmm.
And Ferrari are even bigger.
Yeah. Ferrari are the biggest motorsport brand in the world.
Yeah.
And the most successful historical motorsport team ever.
Yeah.
So if you get that into your series of IndyCar, then that's huge.
Yeah, massively.
And I think the chassis could be something that they compromise on there. I think Ferrari would be okay to go aero because it's not particularly been their strength in F1. They could maybe accept and get top guys into setup and pay top guys on that one.
Yeah.
But as long as they have like a Ferrari engine, but Ferrari have always been engine people. They're the babies. The engine's always the baby. So that will be the big one. So I think they could even maybe compromise on the chassis that in a couple of years' time.
Yeah.
In negotiating on that. But it does feel that with 2023 and having a positive idea, and Ferrari, one of the first things they noticed was either going into the World Endurance Championship or IndyCar. As soon as the budget cap was announced in Formula One, and that was, we may have to look at it. And that was when the budget cap was 175 million. Then COVID has hit, and in F1, the budget cap will be at 150 million, decreasing by, I believe, 5 million each year for the following 3 years, and end up at 135 million. So suddenly, I think in F1 at the moment, they're investing like 520 mil. It's a huge amount. So already that was a massive drop, 275 mil. You've then taken a further 25, resulting in ending up at 40 mil. That's going to be a lot of money and a lot of resources that they have available. IndyCar, for me, is the premium. Formula E doesn't appeal to Ferrari at all, because that's just not Ferrari.
Yeah.
As much as it is, they would look into renewable energy sources. I just can't see them having a battery powered. They'll build road cars for it for the sake of doing it, but when they're competing in racing, that's not what they're going to do.
No.
IndyCar is a series that would massively appeal to them. The hypercar kind of would, but I think still it doesn't have... World Endurance Championship, I don't think has the potential that IndyCar does to blow up as a series.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, with all that spare cash, they could just go into both.
Probably could. But their history, especially majority of recent history, is single-seaters.
Yeah.
So if they could become the best in F1 and the best in IndyCar, they would be the best single-seater company in the world. That would be... I think that would be something
Domination.
That would appeal to them as a manufacturer.
Yes.
But it would be hugely exciting.
You could be seeing this badge a lot more in 2023 onwards.
I think it would be hugely exciting for IndyCar to bring across a name like Ferrari.
Do we mention any potential drivers who could be carried over?
Well, we'll make this a fun game. To end off the podcast, we'll throw it to you. Who do you think, if Ferrari come into their... Obviously, 2023 becomes a little bit difficult, but say within the next couple of years, who could you see driving for Ferrari? I think they would go for one experienced IndyCar guy and then one guy maybe from the European program, as they've got talented Ferrari Driver Academy. So we thought, with Giovinazzi likely to leave Formula One, Giovinazzi, as Italian as well, to come across, would be a potential one of the seats, because I'd imagine they'd go all in two cars.
Yep.
They would just go two cars out of the block. They wouldn't bother with going one, build up two, build up three.
Well, they'll have the money to go two.
Exactly. They'll go two, and then maybe in a couple of years, if it goes well, three.
And, well, it's an American series. Do they have any Americans in their driver academy?
They don't.
Oh, is Logan actually not part of the academy?
Logan is not part
of it.
But
He is part of Prema, isn't he?
Yeah.
Which, you know,
has
is
strong Ferrari
heavily
links.
linked to Ferrari.
Yeah.
It's like the testing ground for a Ferrari Academy driver.
You could definitely see Logan Sargent maybe doing that. If they were going inexperienced, but if they were going experienced, do you reckon they would go all in on a big money signing and maybe take someone like Alexander Rossi from Andretti? Because by that time, the fight between Herta and Rossi might be Herta. And Alexander Rossi is that, to me, I don't know off the top of my head, I probably should know this, but Rossi to me sounds a very Italian surname.
Yeah.
So, American-Italian.
And he's been in F1. That doesn't really mean much, but obviously... Yeah.
I could see someone like a lineup of Giovinazzi and Alexander Rossi with Andretti Autosport then going full steam ahead behind Colton Herta, and potentially bringing in someone like Oliver Askew as well as their young future guys, if Ryan Hunter-Ray is then in the team as well.
You heard it here first.
Or James Hinchcliffe. That is exciting. There you go. There's some kind of something fun to kind of throw for you guys. But yeah, that's probably it for the IndyCar podcast. Yep. I think we've rounded it up. So comment down below with all obviously discussions in today's. That big news on Oliver Askew, who you think your rookie of the year has been. I mean, it maybe is fairly obvious that it's going to be Rinus VeeKay. So maybe give us a little thoughts on how you think the rookies have done this year, and the possibility of Ferrari joining IndyCar, and who might drive for them in 2022, 2023.
Oh, yeah.
Would be fascinating to hear your thoughts on that. And if you're new to the Indy Fanatics channel and you haven't done so already, what can you do? You
can like, subscribe, and ding that bell.
Ding it. And obviously we've been growing quite a lot on Instagram recently. So our Instagram is Indy_Fanatics. We'll leave a link to our Instagram in the comments in the description down below. So make sure if you haven't checked that out, follow us, or if you followed us from Instagram, thank you for coming across and following us on that one. But yes, guys, that's it from us. So, you Indy fans, keep racing!